Hello, welcome back, everyone. I'll give a couple seconds for you to click off that initial ad if you got one. Um, this wasn't on purpose. I've got three women with me joining me today for this topic, and that totally wasn't on purpose. It just worked out that way. I would like to start off with plugs. So I'll start with Cindy and then Tracy and then Tressa. If you could tell me who you are, where people can find you, and what are you currently working on? We'll start with Cindy.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Cindy Plaza. I'm the host of The Path to Reason, a YouTube channel talking about critical thinking. So you can find me on YouTube. Type the path to reason, and you'll find me. I'm also on Twitter and Facebook, and you have all my links in the link tree Jim provided in the video description. Thanks for having me here tonight. Or
Absolutely.
today, depending on where you are.
Yeah, you're over across the pond, so it's nighttime there already, isn't it?
It's 6 p.m. Yeah.
Okay. Here. All right. 6 hours difference. Tracy.
I'm Tracy Barkley. I'm host of the Keto and Crime, true crime history and pop culture channel. You can find me at my channel down below, also in the link tree. And look, if you enjoy true crime and history with a little bit of atheism thrown in, come on over.
Tracy and I just wrapped up a 2-part series on our top 25 horror movies, and it was the first time that I can remember, and definitely in 1 or 2 years, that a show that I was a part of, that I went back and rewatched the whole thing because it was just so enjoyable. Even the second time around, I loved it. So go over to that channel and watch that.
It was
fun.
Kyle.
Okay, we got a couple. Okay, so the live chat is up and running. Tressa.
Hi, I'm Tressa. I'm just a random person that Jim knows. I don't have any YouTube channels or podcasts, but I think Jim put my Facebook link in whatever it's called down below that you all referenced. So that's me.
Excellent. I would say this is where I would pressure you to start your own YouTube channel. We need more, especially secular, atheist, non-religious YouTube channels to counter the deluge of Christian ones out there. But I know you are a very busy person, so I'm not going to even try to push it. My plugs, real quick, some housekeeping first. Today is voting day, I think nationwide. If you live in Texas, Proposition 3 is very important. If you live in Texas, I'm not even asking you to go vote. I'm telling you to go vote. Proposition 3, let me just read it real quick. I'm just going to hit it real fast. If you vote yes to Proposition 3, you are supporting amending the Texas state constitution to prohibit the state or any political subdivision from enacting a law, rule, order, or proclamation that limits religious services or organizations. A vote no would oppose the state constitution, oppose an amendment to the state constitution. So basically, this is in response to mask mandates. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is what I'm thinking. Mask mandates, capacity seating. Like if this proposition passes, no law, no restriction, no mandate can force a church, a mega church, from doing a 6 feet rule or limiting maximum capacity. It could just be a breeding ground for viruses, which would affect not just, of course, that church, but everyone that they are in contact with right afterwards. What they don't understand is a law like this would, careful what you wish for kind of law, because do you want Wiccans dancing around a bonfire naked? Because, see, they think it just applies to Christians, but other religious, we saw this with the abortion issue and the Satanists, the Satanic Church. You guys know how they found a loophole saying, well, getting an abortion is in line with our religious practices, and you can't take that away from us. Yeah, so it's also a careful what you wish for proposition. Anyway, basically, bottom line, get out and vote no matter what state you live in. I will be doing I guess it's a yearly thing now. It's kind of cool. November 11th at 1700 Central Time, 5 p.m. Central Time, a Veterans Day special. This will be like the third annual. We do it every Veterans Day. I try to get at least one veteran from each of the armed forces, and may or may not. I try to throw some atheist related content in there, but it's sometimes just telling some crazy stories that'll make your jaw drop, or funny stories. The next day, November 12th,
Is
at
my birthday?
2100. Oh, okay, excellent. At 2100 Central Time, which is 9 p.m., I'll be over on In Time with Nicholas Suter again, doing a call-in show. And of course, November 19th, 20th, and 21st, I'll be in Austin with my co-host, Courtney. I still call her my co-host, even though she's inactive right now. She just got married, working on a master's degree in psychology, working full time. So that's why you're not seeing her on the show. I'm pretty much atheist edge by myself right now, but she'll be down there with her newlywed, with her new husband, and we'll be passing out keychains and stickers, and we have little ideas. Come up and do 10 minutes on camera. I've got quick little skits and bits and trivia questions and stuff to do on camera. So that's going to be fun. During the breaks, out in the hallway, whenever. And there's the after party on the 21st, and that's at the hotel, back at the hotel. I'll be doing some interviews there. That was a long plug. Okay. I was going to break the ice and start, but I want one of you to break the ice and start. I've got a couple of stories. Hopefully you got 2, 3, 4, 7 stories also. Religious intolerance. How has it affected your family relationship? Have you been, for instance, disowned because of your political beliefs? Do you have like a super far right family member that's just so intolerant that you just can't stand to go to Thanksgiving get-togethers anymore, or anything like that? Who wants to start? Cricket, tumbleweed. Okay,
I'll start. So I didn't grow up in a religious environment. So my mother is some kind of a believer, but not religious. My father is an atheist. But I did went through a lot of violence during my childhood. Some of it is pretty extreme. I will give some stories here tonight. And then when I announced them that I was going to transition, at first it was going well, but then it got complicated, and now I haven't been talking to them in 2 years, and I don't intend to in the near future. So yeah.
This is an interview. This is panel. So if you guys have anything to bounce off of Cindy too, so feel free. I apologize. I was trying to do 2 things. I am not a good multitasker. Can you just repeat everything you just said? And I'm not going to look at the live chat this time. Gosh, damn it.
Parents' violence and trouble with the transition with my parents.
Now, how long ago did you begin your transition? Well, first off, are you fully out with everybody?
Yes.
Of course you are. Yes, because you're presenting yourself as female now.
Yeah.
So
my
there's
papers
no
are
hiding
changed.
it at this point. Yeah.
No.
So how long ago did that happen? And did they was it instant conflict right from the get-go, or did it get worse and worse?
No, I told them, I think it was 6 years ago now. I had started the hormone treatment at the time, and I didn't do any surgery or anything in the next 3 years. So I guess that was a problem, that I told them something and then nothing changed for quite a long time. And when it did, that's when my mother had some trouble. She didn't want, well, she didn't manage to, or didn't want to call me Cindy for a while, and one day I just reminded her, and then she got angry, and so I said, okay, goodbye, and then I left. And so after that, she tried to contact me several times. Each time she called me with my dead name. And so I just let it go. And then that triggered some things related to what she did to me when I was a child. And now I don't want to go back and talk to her because of that, because of some things that I understood with the therapist I've been seeing so far, and how serious I understood it was, and that just happened recently. So that's the reason why I've been blocking them in the last year or so. It's because of this. So I don't know how it's going to go. I have no idea, and I really don't care for the moment. It's just how it is, and that's all.
That's a good attitude to have, really, and the fact that you're seeking some, some professional help to get you through this is I can't recommend that enough. That's really good as well. That's a lot to chew on, Cindy. I'm just going to move to Tracy, and then anyone in the live chat, please ask a question, and I'll put it on the screen, and you can jump around to any of the guests, Cindy, Tracy, or Tressa. Tracy.
As far as being an atheist, I'm not sure that my family actually knows that I'm an atheist. I mean, I don't think any of them are actually on YouTube enough to know that. So mine deals with my sexuality as well. I am a lesbian. I am married to another woman. Known my whole life, and tried to hide it my whole life. I was in a 10-year relationship with a man who is still a very good friend of mine, but it was a sexless relationship because he had medical issues that prevented that. So that was easy for me. So basically, yes, I am disowned from my biological father died when I was 18. My biological mother, I don't speak to her. I was disowned because of the homosexuality, but it wasn't until later. My older sister is also a lesbian, and she was disowned for the same reason. In fact, her and her partner had been renting a apartment from my mother, and then one day my mother, who's always been kind of a religious fanatic, just, I don't know who she'd been talking to or what she had been doing, she just flipped all of a sudden and basically locked my sister, her partner, and their baby out of their apartment, would not let them get any of their stuff. They had to start from scratch, other family and friends helping them. To my knowledge, she has never returned any of their stuff to them. This was years ago. I mean, my sister and her partner have moved on, but it's, yeah, I saw that all happen. Luckily, I was away from home, both in the Army and then later on college when all that happened. So I wasn't there to see it. I did help her from afar. So when I came out, of course, it was very easy because I wasn't living there with her to cut the cord. My mother and I have always had a toxic relationship. She had two tomboys. She was very much a girly girl. She had two tomboys that she was raising. I looked like a boy all through school. I look back at pictures of myself in high school, and I'm like, I look like a boy. I mean, it's pretty obvious that I don't like boys. But yet, she just kind of put that out of her mind, and she would try to force me to be feminine. Even as a child, she would force me into, which is, I think, is a Southern thing. She would force me into child beauty pageants and stuff like that against my will, just trying to make me into a girly girl. My sister had a mouth on her and was very willful. I did not. I just did what mom told me to do because I wanted so bad to be accepted. And then in the end, it all fell apart. I have not spoken to my mother in probably 7 years. Luckily, I had the parents of one of my best friends in high school who kind of took me in under their wing and have been my family ever since. And the mother and father you hear me talk about online, that is them. And unfortunately, I lost my father this year to COVID. But he was every bit of a red hat wearing Trump supporter, but he raised 4 gay children when their own parents put them out.
Wow.
and just goes to testimony of how sometimes stereotypes don't always fit.
I have a question, but I'm going to
Did-
save it. I'm going to write it down. Go ahead, Cindy.
Yeah, I also had a question. Did they try to push onto you some kind of therapy to, how do we call that?
Pray the gay away or
Yes,
Yes,
yeah, those kind of things.
I was sent to a camp 2
conversion
summers in a row.
therapy or
Where it wasn't like where they came at you with electroshock therapy, showing you pictures of naked women and shocking you. It wasn't that kind of camp, but it was very much telling me that homosexuals go to hell, that kind of thing. I wasn't kidnapped in the middle of the night or anything like that dramatic, but yes. And then I was also sent to military school later on, which I actually enjoyed and put me on the path to the military, and ended up being a great thing. But later on, from an aunt, I found out that was my mother's way of straightening me out. I don't know what she thought about military school would possibly straighten me out. If anything, it gave me access to other women that were also gay. So
kind of backfired.
yeah, kind of backfired.
I'm going to hold my question for later. Tressa, what do you have?
So my story with my family probably goes back, I don't know, 20, 30 years when I became a young adult and started finding myself. I grew up in a very religious family, very right-wing, fundamental, evangelistic Christian family. And I bought into it until I got out on my own, and then started realizing what bullshit it was. And the reason I'm here today, I just recently got engaged to a woman. We've been friends for
Congratulations.
thanks. We've been together for like 10 years. We dated 10 years ago. We were off for 5 years, and then hello, Kat. And then I am so sorry. Oh my god. That's my flirkin. I know we're not supposed to be talking about our flirkins, but she's totally a flirkin. Like the tentacles come out of her mouth and she attacks at any given time. So anyway, I have 2 Facebook pages. I have the family friendly one, and then I have the real one, because it's like a don't ask, don't tell with my family, and they, being fundamentalists, don't want to know that I'm bi and that I'm a pantheist and that and I'm kinky and I'm poly, and they don't want to know that shit. So I have 2 Facebook pages. And can I say shit on here? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We're going to be talking about abuse later on, so I'm fully prepared that this one is not going to stay monetized. So go for it. Yeah. Normally, I would say don't drop an F-bomb in the first 5 minutes, and it usually keeps it monetized. But this one, fuck it, it's not going to get monetized.
Well, I had a brownie, and as that takes hold, I'm probably gonna not filter as well. So
I want to come stay with you if we can have brownies at noon.
Come on. Come on, girl. There's a whole nother story to that. But anyway, so I posted on my Facebook, my real Facebook, about my engagement, and somehow it got filtered down and it came up on my mom's Facebook feed. I'm not friends with her at all, but Facebook friends. I don't know how it got to her except for a mutual family member. So I got a letter in the mail from my mom, which is very cool because she's in the dark ages. She doesn't text. I can't send her pictures. Only way I can communicate with her is calling her, which I don't do, or writing her, which I don't do. So it was very cool to get a letter from her in the mail. And I'm kind of excited. I opened the letter, and basically it's a letter ripping me a new one because she saw that I got engaged, and she thought she had raised a sweet, loving girl who loves Jesus and is full of the Holy Spirit. And it's so sad that I've turned my back on God, and God is still waiting for me to come back to him and basically telling me how bad I am. Which, when I think about my mom's almost 80 years old, I think how sad that she has nothing better to do. And I'm not sure what she was trying to accomplish with this letter. I am 51 years old, and what is she wanting to accomplish? So it totally threw me for a loop. It triggered a whole bunch of childhood shit, and it's been hard. I've been dealing with this for the past couple of weeks, and I posted the letter on Facebook, and Jim's like, "Hey, come on my show and talk about this." So.
Oh, that's right. That kicked off this idea of the topic. I totally forgot that. Yeah, cool. Not cool,
Yeah.
but yeah, interesting. I got a question I got several questions. Tracy first. 4 gay kids. Okay. Talk about, all of you chime in also, but talk about nature versus nurture. How much of being gay is completely genetic, and is there an environmental factor? And do you think that, devil's advocate here, the pressure by your parents to make you more girly and sending you to gay conversion, do you think that, like someone said, did it backfire? I mean, could you have not been gay and then just turned to it as a reaction to the pressure? Like, you might not have been gay and they just put you over the edge, or is it 100% genetic?
I think it's 100% genetic. I remember my first crush being my kindergarten teacher. And if Miss Trappenstead is watching this, I'm sorry. But that was my first crush. Now, as to what you're saying about can you turn someone gay, I'm of the opinion that maybe if somebody is already innately bisexual, like Tressa, abuse and nurture could make them prefer one gender for a partner over another. And also maybe, especially with abuse victims, that if they're abused by a man, they might turn to women for comfort in an emotional way. I'm not sure it makes them gay. Truly, they probably already had some bisexual tendencies anyway. But yeah, I'm 100% that it is 100% genetic. I tried to force myself to be straight, and it's not in me. It's not in me.
Yeah, the latest science about this says that it's about 35 to 40% genetics, about the same amount from epigenetics, and the rest is environmentals, meaning depends on what the fetus is exposed to before birth. So hormones and other things like that. So so yeah, it's 100% not changeable when you are born. Definitely.
Okay. I do some, well, not since the pandemic, but I frequently did some public speaking engagements through Watchman Fellowship, which is a Christian organization. But I'm good friends with the president and the vice president of that organization. Really good friends. We do the Atheist and Christian Book Club together. So they do blocks of, it's usually 3 to 5 week blocks where they go around the country to different churches that hire them, that invite them in to do these workshops. And they're sometimes 5 weeks long. Well, they're on counterfeit religions. So they'll do Mormonism, they'll do Jehovah's Witness, they'll do everything except what they are. And one's on atheism. And so whenever a church hires them to come in and talk about atheism, they hire me and a couple of others from the Metroplex Atheist here. And we go to the churches and we sit up there with the microphones on, and it's a Q&A, and it's Ask an Atheist. And we're like on week 5 at the end, after he's told us after he's told them how misguided and we are, and even though we're still good friends, they still call me misguided, and I call them delusional, and we laugh about it and have a drink, whatever. But they bring in the atheist on the final week. They ask questions, and inevitably there's a guy in the very back that just wants to, there's always one that just wants to be a little provocative. And sometimes they'll say
Just one.
like, sometimes it's just one, sometimes it's several, but you'd be surprised, especially Courtney. They just give her all amount of love. They'll catch her in the hallway after. It's like, when you came in, I had no idea you were one of the atheists. You don't look anything like. What does an atheist look like? I don't see horns growing out of my head. I guess overweight, pasty, middle-aged dude. I guess usually with a goatee. I guess I fit the atheist stereotype more than she does. But anyway, if we're talking about homosexuality and freedom and intolerance, there'll be somebody. It happens all the time. One in particular, the guy stood up and said, well, being gay is a choice. Homosexuality is a choice. I said, sir, I just knocked this out of the park. And it just came to me. I didn't have it pre-planned. I said, sir, so being cisgender, being heterosexual is a choice as well, right? I mean, if gay is a choice, then being hetero is a choice. He said, yeah, well, I guess. Could you, for 24 hours, no, scratch that, for 30 seconds, be gay? If I started my clock and said, okay, I want you to choose to be gay for 30 seconds. No, I couldn't. I got you, bitch. You can't choose to be gay. Then you can't choose to be heterosexual. It's not the other way around. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh, Cindy, if your family decided to quit dead naming you, which they should have gotten the hint already. They should know what dead naming is, and they should know not to do it. So if they decided to quit dead naming you and wanted to rekindle a relationship with you, how open would you be to that?
Well, I think my mother understood the the clues so far, and I know that she tried to. Well, she sent some messages on my previous Facebook account, but I'm not going there on purpose because I don't want to read what she said, because I know what she says, and right now, because of all those feelings and nightmares and fears that that this situation brought up in the last year, I don't want to talk to them right now. I just don't. So if they call me today, I wouldn't answer. I wouldn't pick up the phone. If they send me a message on Messenger, I wouldn't answer.
I think that's an awesome response, Cindy, and that my therapist in this dealing with my mother said something that was very provocative to me and very healing. He said that losing a relationship with somebody that is still alive, your mind and your emotions deal with it just as if they really did die. And if my mother was dead, and I received a letter from her, I would treat it like junk mail. Like, oh, this letter couldn't be from my mother. My mother's dead. And I would throw it in the trash and not think about it, because that person, that relationship is now dead to me. And that was actually very freeing for me to have him point that out, that's a good way for me to think about it's irrelevant to me. That person's no longer in my life. They're irrelevant. They don't exist anymore. And it's very sad, but I think it's a good way to handle it for our own emotional health.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I also have 4 younger brothers, and 3 of them just stopped talking to me when the change became visible, and only recently we started to talk back again. And the last one, we have 11 years of difference, which is a lot. and so I took care of him a lot when he grew up, until he was 5, and then I left and I joined the army, and he saw that like I was abandoning him, and he kept that feeling for a very, very long time. And another brother saw a video of me talking about my family on YouTube, and he sent the host of the show a long message, and talking about himself, and basically trying to defend that his like my family hadn't been so as horrible as I presented it. And so after that, I received a letter from the youngest one, and so I decided to make a video, and it took me almost 3 weeks to to find the strength to do it. And I explained to him everything: why I left, why I didn't come back to see them as often as they might have wanted to, and what happened with the transition, and how I perceive things. And in that video that I made just for him, I also explained to him what I just said about my parents. I just don't want to talk to them right now because of what everything triggered lately. And so they talk, obviously, and he told my mother, look, she made a video. If you want to understand things, then look at the video. And she didn't want to. So you have the answer. You don't want to listen to it. Fine.
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of, I've been watching the chat, and I kind of wanted to like give my 2 cents on a couple of conversations there. One, for that being said, I really wish we had a gay male on this panel, because I think overall, or a bisexual male, I really think overall, and this is just my observations, that gay women, lesbians, bisexuals, we have it easier in society than a gay man does. I think just because of, I don't know why. I don't know if it's just the type of stereotypes around that, call it what you will. But I think in a way, women, girls, young girls, especially in the US, especially in the South, are raised almost to be pansexual, bisexual in a way. It's all right for 2 little girls to hold hands. I mean, we're taught to be nurturers. And so that kind of thing. I mean, there's a country song by Sugarland called Girl Crush that was a hit on the country charts. I mean, I think it's easier for women in society to be gay. Take the whole porn industry out of it. Even beyond that, it's easier, I think, for women to be gay in society, and that's really a sad thing, because we all come from the same sort of genetics that makes us this way.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to what also I saw Ralph say, that he had seen a lot of people with unaddressed sexual tendencies toward same sex. I agree, and I think I know a lot of women that have expressed to me having sexual or romantic feelings toward a woman at many times in their life, and these are very happily married, straight women with husbands and children that are happily married. But many of them have expressed in their past to having those feelings for at least one woman. So I think sexuality is a scale. I think there's very few people that are extreme gay, extreme straight. I think most people fall somewhere on that scale. And I'll shut up now.
I just would love to thank, that being said, not only did he just become a member of this show, he's the first ever, and I didn't even know if I had set up membership properly. I guess I did. So you are the first and only. Thank you so much. I don't even know how it works, but that being said, I can't do it from StreamYards, but remind me that my contact information, there's millions of ways to get a hold of me in every description section of every video, so you can find me. get with me. I want to give you a wrench. I don't know if becoming a member automatically gives you a wrench so you can become a moderator on our live chats. And yes, I would absolutely love to have you on a show. It'll be after Faithless Forum, so maybe late November we could book something. You pick the topic. You have control of that now, and so thank you very much. I had a question. I guess it was to Tressa, but it can apply to all of you. Kink, poly, BDSM. Uh, one or more of you on this panel may or may not be member of FetLife, if you know what that website is. What some would consider deviant sexual practices. Is this? It can, not always, but can it be traced back to childhood abuse? Yes or no?
Well, that's way off the topic of what we're here to be talking about today. But
no, it's family intolerance, religious, socio-political.
okay.
Yeah, and kink would be if
What-
they're intolerant of your sexual practices. I think it goes in line.
Yeah, they don't want to know anything about that. They're freaked out that I'm bisexual, so they don't want to know anything else. Is it because I was abused that I'm bisexual and kinky and poly? I don't know. Again, it goes back to that nature versus nurture, like Cindy was pointing out. It's not 100%. I am so pasty. Oh my God. It's not 100% one or the other, I don't think. I don't know. I don't know that I don't know if it's because of the childhood sexual abuse. I don't know if it's, I don't know. I don't think that that's 100% why I am bisexual and kinky. I think poly and kinky and all of these things that make up a person is ingrained in them because of genetics, because of nature. It's just who I am. And I'm not being truly who I am, and I'm living a lie if I don't express those things. If I'm not, if I try to suppress who I am, it makes for a very shallow, depressing life. I don't know.
No, I'm sorry. Do you mind if I go pick up a notebook? I don't know if you remember, but I think it was on one of your shows. I showed this this image of these 5 stars about gender and sexuality and sex. Do you remember?
Vaguely. Yeah, please do that.
Yeah.
And
okay.
while you're
Just
doing
give me a
that,
second.
I'm gonna put this back up on the screen. This is a friend of mine, Jason Ellis. It's just Ralph here, but he goes by Jason. Are you guys reading this? Tell me if you agree with this or not.
Yep, I agree with that.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, yeah, it's a I guess refreshing, interesting way of looking at it. I never looked at it that way.
Sexuality
yeah.
is fluid, like Tracy was saying. And very few people are 100% heterosexual for 100% of their lives. It's a very fluid thing. With my own journey, I would say I'm right in the middle, 50% bisexual. I was married for 8 years. Then I had a monogamous relationship with a woman for 8 years. 8 years seems to be my limit for some reason. And then I was with a male abuser for 8 years. And now I'm back with a woman. So it's
I could very easily be in a relationship with a man, but it would probably just be, I mean, my ex, who I was with for 10 years, we're still great friends. We were great friends even then. There was just no sex involved. So as far as companionship and stuff like that, yeah, I'd be fine in a relationship with a man. But to get the whole package, it requires a woman for me. I mean, I'm probably 90-10 women versus men. But yeah.
I've always thought of myself as a 0.5 on the Kinsey scale. I don't know if that's accurate. Cindy, do you have your
Yes.
notes? Okay.
So basically, you can see like this: five branch style. So here you have sexual attraction. So what gender you're attracted to. Sexual behavior, which is not necessarily the same thing. Gender identity, gender expression, and biological sex. So for each person, so imagine we're talking about sexual attraction. You have here you have men, here you have women, and the rest is below. Like you're attracted to intelligent people, you're attracted to trans people, and etc. So all this would be here. And so each person, when they're born, they have what we could call a potential. Means that you are born with the possibility to be attracted to a certain group. So it might be only men, or it might be men and women, and that's what we are born with. And then during our lifetime, our sexual attraction can change inside this potential. So, for example, if you can be attracted to men and women, and then for any reason you've been only with men for the first, let's say, first half of your life, and then something happens, then you decide to go to the other group, or you're attracted to only tall, blonde, blue-eyed men, and then suddenly you change and you're attracted to bigger men or anything. So your sexual attraction can change during your life, but it changes only inside your potential. Sexual behavior is different because this is controlled by your environment. Meaning, if you are gay and you're living in Saudi Arabia, for example, then you will have to have sex with women instead of men. So usually it's in tolerant societies, they are the same, sexual behavior and sexual attraction, but depending on your environment, it can change and it can be imposed to you to have a different sexual behavior. Then you have gender identity, and here it's same thing. So men, women, and others, and so it can be between the two, and so you will be gender fluid, or it can be only men or only women. And then this linked to biological sex defines if you are trans or if you're not. Then you have the gender expression, which is the gender you present, how you are dressed, how you make your hair, makeup, everything else. And then we have biological sex, which is the most interesting topic, because the way society sees it is very binary, right? So if you take all the sexual characteristics of one person, so DNA, sexual organs, breast, hormones, and everything, there are about 20 different topics, and if you measure them, then society would say here it would look like this. So men and women. So those here it's the sexual characteristics. So you have only men which are all the same and only women who are all the same. But in reality, if you look what happens, it's much more like this. You see, so and all those people between the two regions, they are what we call intersex. So whether you have XY chromosomes or anything that is not XY and penis, for example, or XX and vagina, if you don't have, for example, a uterus or any very specific hormone level, then you are intersex, and this is a problem because all those people are ignored, right? When you speak to a very conservative person, if you give them an example of someone who is outside the norm, what they call the norm, they will say, "Oh, but that's just that's very rare." Yes, it is, but so what? Do we pretend they don't exist? So yeah, I find this chart very very helpful to understand all these stories and all these behaviors and how it's perceived by society. I'm sorry, it took a little bit of time, but
that was in depth and interesting. Tracy, first, did you have anything to add to that? I've got a million questions.
No, I think that was great. Thank you for that, Cindy.
Yeah,
that was really... I definitely, in my experience being in the LGBT plus community, I've lost count of all the letters in it. I just call it the premium package now. My part is being in the premium package is that all holds true. Absolutely.
I just when I thought I had my brain wrapped around the 4-pointed star. So up until now, I've tried to understand it as a 4-pointed star with I guess sexual attraction and sexual behavior kind of lumped together. I think that's how I don't think I'm unique in thinking those were kind of lumped together. But this is the first time I've seen someone separate that and say you can be attracted and still sexual behavior can be separate from your attraction level based on whatever circumstances. So a 5-pointed star, that's the first time I've seen that. That's interesting. I want to switch gears. Bad segue to back to religion real quick. I just want to throw this out at you. A couple things in the live chat. Hold on. Okay, Tressa changed rooms. I just saw that. Okay, good girl. There. Let's see. Put it back up. Just became my first became a member as well. So I got 2 YouTube members now. That's so crazy. What was it, Tressa?
Nice.
Nothing.
Oh, okay. So I don't even know how this works. I'm glad I got it up and running properly, apparently. I don't even know what goes into it, but good girl. I put it in the live chat also, but I'm also just going to tell you, same thing I said to that being said, there's a million ways to find me in the description section of every video. I put all 600 to 700 videos I've got out there. So it's easy to find me. Hit me up if you want to be on the show, if you want to give me a topic. Yeah, whatever you want to do, you're driving this bus. So it would be late November at the earliest, but I'd like to get you on the show or just shoot me topic ideas. There's a million ways to get a hold of me, and thank you so much. What was the other thing? Yeah, the 5-pointed star. Religion. Last night. Was it last night was Halloween? Damn, I'm blue screening here. Yeah. So when the kids were trick-or-treating, somebody, maybe it was one of you all or somebody sent me an instant message, a screenshot of something that was found in their kids' candy. And it was repent, don't be a part of Satan's day, join our church kind of pamphlet, right? And I said,
was it a Chick tract?
No, that would have been cool.
I
I don't even
love
know if they make
those.
chick tracks anymore. Those are
No,
just
they
damn
do. I love
hilarious.
them.
Um, and I said, well, did they give you candy? Did they give him candy with it also, at least? Yes. Okay. Well, it wasn't a total loss. If they just gave you those pamphlets, that would have been the dick move. Right. And then I started thinking, what if an atheist household put a atheist like Metroplex Atheist or Freedom from Religion Foundation donate to this or something secular in with some even with some candy? What would be the reaction in that damn neighborhood? What kind of vandalism would your property or your vehicles out front
Right.
receive, especially where I live?
Religious
And
oppression.
yeah, and how many atheists have ever done that ever in the history of ever? And how many atheists disown a family member because they're a believer? Have you ever heard the corollary? Have you ever heard the opposite, where a family gets together and black sheeps a kid because they're a Christian and no, this is an atheist household. God damn it! When does that ever happen?
I think the proselytizing. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's very unique to Christianity and in evangelical Christianity at that. Their whole Great Commission is to bring people in, but you don't see Jewish. You can become a Jewish person, you can become a Jew, but they don't go out seeking to convert other people to Judaism. I don't think Muslims actively seek to convert in the same way that Christians convert. I think that's just very unique to Christianity, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
It's part of
also
the
think-
tenets of of being an evangelical Christian. You are supposed to evangelize. I went to Christ for the Nations Bible School here in Dallas for a year and a half, 2 years, and they taught us how to evangelize, went to Mardi Gras and out on the streets and tried to convert people during Mardi Gras to Christianity. I don't know why they think that would be successful at all, but I knocked on doors in Oak Cliff. We'd go door to door in pairs and knock on doors and try to convert people. Look at your face, Jim. And try to convert people to Christianity.
Did they show you some boobs along with the track?
Some boobs. Yeah. We were like told, don't look at the balconies, no matter what is happening up there. Keep your eyes averted. Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, okay. Just yesterday, my wife got home from work. She said a coworker came up and asked her something. Said, okay, so my wife's a bus driver in a local independent school district. A coworker came up and said, hey, tell me if this is messed up or not. An Indian guy, and I suspect after listening to the whole story that he most likely was of Arabic descent, but my wife's coworker labeled him as Indian. I don't know if that is it any relevance, but an Indian guy came up when I was dropping off a kid and came up to the door of the bus and said wanted to speak. Had an issue with something that had happened the day before with a kid on the bus and wanted to talk about it, right? And my wife's coworker was female, and he said, "Is there someone else I can talk to?" And she's like, kind of like on her back feet. She's like, "What?" And I've got my attendant who handles everything in the back. He's male, and she's, I guess, just referred him on to, called the attendant up. Well, a bus driver is king of the, they're the captain of the ship. The attendant doesn't deal with any issues like that. And this parent made it very clear that he wanted to talk to a male instead of a female. And she said, can I go to HR with this? Can I voice a complaint, or is this a religious? Would I be labeled religiously intolerant? And it's like wanted to walk on eggshells because of this. And then you can imagine my response to it. But I want to hear your all's take. Is it a violation of any type of religious freedom if someone came up to you? You're working a cash register, right? You're a female, and somebody said, my religion doesn't let me deal directly with you. I'm going to talk to a male, someone above you, preferably a male. How would you handle that? Is that a violation of religious freedom? You say, no, deal with me.
I personally, I wouldn't take offense to it. I just laugh and tell them you're gonna be waiting a while because
Yeah.
I'm the only one here right now. But
I don't have time and energy to waste on stupid people.
Yeah. I'll tell you an interesting story. I used to be in tech support for one of the major cell phone companies, and we had a call center here in Nashville. And I had a gentleman. He was fully naturalized from India. He had moved here, had been in the country 10 years, fully a citizen, worked in the cubicle right next to me, but he still had kind of an accent. And so many people would get angry for whatever reason and ask him where's he located and accuse him of lying when he said, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. What's your real name? Where are you really? And they're like, no, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. And I just stand up and look over the cubicle and watch him. He would just have this very stoic face. He was so calm and so demeanor. That would just honestly just make me mad. It really would. And he had the patience of a saint, so to speak. He really did. But those kind of biases do exist. Absolutely.
I think one of the behaviors to have in this situation would be to say, why are you trying to impose your religion to me? I don't have the same beliefs as you, but why are you trying to force me into your religion? I don't care about your beliefs. In here, women are equal to men, so there's no reason I accept your beliefs. You can have them at home if you want, but here, no.
We are at 1 hour, folks, and I'm out of questions, but I do have a story to tell, but I'm going to save it. I'm going to open this up. Live chat, please. This is a great time to ask any questions anything we've talked about previously or any questions you have, just slightly off topic even. Are you hanging on any saved grounds? You're hanging on to any other stories?
I kind of have a follow-up. After I got my mother's letter, I was, of course, very angry and worked on considering her dead to me. And I lumped my brother in with that. My brother also is very fundamentalist Christian, has a lot of biases surrounding that. And so I was angry at him too, and was psyching myself up to have this big ritual, letting them go and proclaiming them to be dead to me. And one of my friends says, hey, don't automatically lump him in there. And my brother lives in Fort Worth, about 45 minutes away from me. I have not seen him in, 3 years, 4 years, just because we have nothing to talk about. And things that are important to him, I don't want to talk about. And things that are important to me, he doesn't want to talk about. So I just called my brother up and was like, hey, is there something you want to talk to me about? And he said, well, if you're talking about your relationship announcement, he said, you're an adult. You can do what you want. And I may not agree with it, but you can do what you want. You're an adult. And I was very grateful to him for that response. It showed a lot of maturity that I didn't know that he possessed, and made me feel less alone, like I wasn't having to divorce my entire family. And so I hung up with him and made a phone call to my mom. And I was going to pose to her the same question. Hey, is there something you want to talk to me about? And Mom didn't answer the phone. And she hasn't called me back. I left her that message 3 days ago, and she hasn't called me back. So I guess that's her answer to me. But
I find you very strong, because if my mom has called my cell phone like once in 7 years and she just said, I love you, and hung up. Very passive aggressive, very just trying to bait me into calling her. I wasn't going to fall for it, because every time I call her, it puts me in a bad depressive state. I battle depression anyway. And so I wasn't going to be baited into that. My wife refused to let me call her, and I'm glad that she didn't. But my mother is a character right out of a Tennessee Williams or a Flannery O'Connor work. I mean, my biological father, who did pass away when I was 18, I didn't have much of a relationship with him. But after investigating and talking to his family and the few conversations I've had with him, he was an over-the-road truck driver, so he was gone a lot. And it seems that my mother did not have any sort of a sexual relationship with him. They slept in twin beds, sometimes in different rooms. She used my sister and I as a weapon against him. I think I would have had a very good relationship with my father if he had been allowed to see me. And he became an alcoholic, I think, for a lot of different reasons, and ended up drinking himself to death. But then my mother had a very dear friend that they were very close. She was very close to for like 20 years. My mother spiraled into this depression after she passed away. And honestly, my gut feeling is that my mother is a closeted lesbian. I honestly believe it. And that makes it even more tragic as to why she's disowning both of her children for being what she is. It would make a whole lot of sense. I mean, just things that I've observed, that's my gut feeling. And my gut is actually right. Usually right. So when I say that she's a tragic character out of a Southern Gothic story, I really mean that. And she's 80 now. So that's what makes it so sad.
Yeah, that would just make it even worse. Gosh, Doc. We have a bunch of things in the live chat to respond to. Let's see. Here's the first one, and this is interesting because I didn't think of this. Because me personally, because I'll tell my one story later. You'll see that I don't cut off family members no matter what. It's just how maybe it's a Marine thing, a tight bond, and I just can't break friendships and family relationships, even though it would be sometimes maybe good for me to do so. But those of you that have cut a family member off or been cut off, it's got ways of trickling back to everyone else in the family, and then they start mumbling, and then the rumors, and then the speculation, and then before you know it, it might fall like dominoes, and people that you didn't want to cut off are cutting you off. Has that happened to you all?
Yeah, I kind of exonerated myself from the whole family. My mother's family, I don't speak to them. They don't speak to me. I was never close with my biological father's family because my mother kept my sister and I away from him and away from that whole family. So really my chosen family, my wife and her family, and then my chosen parents' family, which is a mixture of biological and adopted children that they sort of were the parents to, that's my family.
Jason says he's had to write off family members to this kind of behavior. Please understand that some family members see their relationship as a means to manipulate and control. Does that ring true with you all?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
100%.
My mother sought to control us, my sister and I. I mean, that was, I think, if I had not had the wherewithal to get out of there, if she had not sent me to military school, and then later on I joined the Army from there, I might have been some weird Gothic character still living with my mother, like Norman Bates or some shit. I mean, that's how much I wanted to be accepted by her. My sister was totally different. My sister, was. I'll give you an example. My mother was trying to put both my sister and I in Girl Scouts, which neither of us had any interest in. And now Cub Scouts, we would have been all about Cub Scouts because that's how we were geared, but not Girl Scouts. And my sister, I joined, I became a brownie. I did everything I could because my mother told me to. And then my sister told the recruiter she did not want to be an effing Girl Scout. I mean, that came out of my 10-year-old sister's mouth. So my sister was not going to be controlled, but I wanted so badly for my mother's acceptance that I let her control me a great part of my life.
Are you guys ready for a wildly inappropriate joke?
Sure.
Okay. When I was in Cub Scouts, I got kicked out. And you know why they kicked me out of the Cub Scouts? For eating a brownie. Cindy has been really quiet, so I'm going to throw this next one to her. And it's probably not as bad over in Europe, so it might not really even apply to any of you that are any of you still basically in the closet religiously? Is there any family member you haven't come out to that you're a non-believer? Cindy, if this doesn't apply to you, just hypothetically, how would you respond to this? Because over in Texas, it's very common. I mean, when you meet someone, like the second sentence out of their mouth is, "What church do you go to?" And I'm sure I lived in Germany. I lived in Europe for 3 years. And I know it's not like that over there. But if it were to happen, how would you respond to that?
It would depend the kind of relationship you want to have with this person. I mean, if it's someone you don't care about, then just tell the truth. If it's someone you are trying to build a relationship with, just maybe give a quick answer and try to avoid the topic because you don't want to have a confrontation right away. I think it depends on the context. I don't think we can give a broad answer that fits all situations in this case.
Anyone have any response to that?
I'm ate my brownie about an hour ago. Can you repeat the question?
See, you may that may be a true story. Knowing you. Awesome.
I did.
Hold on a minute. Okay, I'm back. Tracy was talking about how it's more accepted lesbians because 49 to 50% of the population thinks that's the coolest thing ever, even though it might be against the Bible. But man, hold on a minute. Let me think about that for a minute. No, yeah, that's bad. Or is it bad? That's pretty bad. You know?
Everybody loves boobs.
Exactly.
Women
even
love boobs.
straight women.
Even if they say they're straight, they're like, "Oh, look at her boobs. They're so great. I wish I had boobs like hers."
I asked my dad once. He's 74. We were just walking around his land, and I was like, "Dad, we were on the subject. I said, at what age do you do full beautiful breasts stop hypnotizing you and being able to control women, being able to control your mind with them?" And he's like, "Son, when it happens to me, I'll let you know." Okay. This is for anybody. Jake. Oh no, this is for Tracy. Jason wants to know. He thinks that you look familiar. You were both Army. He was a soldier also.
I was just trying to type to him. I never actually left stateside. I had the easiest job in the military. I was food service was my MOS. I was in during early 90s, 2 years when you could enlist for 2 years. I'm not sure if you can even do that anymore. And I don't even think my MOS exists anymore. I think it's all contractors now. But I cooked for officers candidates at a OCS school in the Southern Alabama, an honor military school. I had the most cush job in the military you could have, except for the entire Air Force.
That takes care of the okay, we're caught up on live chat. If anyone has any questions, feel free. It's open. Let's see. Saved rounds. Anything else before? What was it?
I wanted to.
Oh, okay.
An interesting story I was thinking about telling is my brother's first wife passed away from melanoma. She was 32 years old, left 4 kids, and it was very sad. But when my family came down from Iowa, they flew down to Texas for the funeral. I was living with a woman at that point in my life, and the whispering around in the backyard around the smoker's circle and at the edges of the yard were all about me and my sexuality. In fact, at the wake, the night before the funeral, the father of the deceased came up, put his arm around me and my partner, and said, I don't care what anybody says. You two girls are straight as arrows to me. He was fixing to bury his daughter, and he had to talk about me and my sexuality. It just blows my mind to this day that people are so caught up in everybody else's business and what they do in the bedroom, and that they can't focus on the task at hand, even of grieving your own daughter.
That reminds me of I went to 3 summers of vacation Bible school. It was my parents' way of just getting me out of the house during the summers, I guess. And they knew I was 8 years old. I was already calling myself agnostic, but I just went to appease them. And so you have to sit through some of these sermons. And the Pastor Simmons, North Richland Hills Baptist Church, I think it was. He said, and there were some black members in the congregation, and I remember this like it was yesterday. You know, we're all different colors here, but when you get to heaven, we're all white. Holy shit, really, dude? When he said, "You two are straight as an arrow to me," that
God.
he doesn't understand how much of a slap in the face that is.
Mm-hmm.
Just totally discounting, disregarding not everything about you, but a big facet of who you are,
Right.
My story. Okay. My parents were, this is the Wave Tops version. My parents were hippies in the 60s, very liberal. They voted Democrat, blue and true, but they were Southern Baptist. But of course, since I'm a cradle atheist, which means they let me choose my, what religion were you raised in? I can't stand hearing that. What religion were you raised in? You might as well be saying, what religion were you indoctrinated by your parents to become?
Yep.
I was raised Catholic. What?
How are you brainwashed?
Hats off to my parents for whatever their, misgivings. I have to hand it to them. They let me choose, and I didn't choose what they wanted, but they let it happen. And when I got kicked out of that 3rd summer of vacation Bible school, they said, well, okay, that's that. And yeah. So they were hippies in the 60s, really liberal, blue. Flash forward, maybe 2006, maybe. My first tour duty in Iraq. For my birthday, they sent me a present. I opened it. It's a Bill O'Reilly book. And I'm like, I wasn't expecting a present anyway, but a Bill O'Reilly book. And my mom wrote a nice note in it about where to, look for what, the important parts in the book. And that set off some red flags and whistles and bells. And since then, I had started learning that they drifting slowly right, which, you know what, I'd be cool with. But my mom's dead now. But before she died, they were pretty hardcore right Republican, voting Republican. That wouldn't be so bad. I mean, Tracy votes right. She leans right, and we're tight. We're friends. I'm cool with that. But when it got to where Dad would freely and openly drop N-word bombs and call and refer to undocumented immigrants as illegals, and what are we going to do about them, and the caravan, and how Trump needs to, stolen election. Now, I said earlier that I don't disown anybody. I still have a good relationship with my dad. I don't know if that's indoctrination from the Marine Corps or something about bonding, but I still try to find the best in my dad, even though he's whacked out. And my brother did what probably any normal person would do, and he's just disowned him. And I just can't bring myself to do that. I just cannot. And I love him, and I just try to look past that and find the good in him. I don't know. I guess there's something to be said for both different methods, right?
It's funny because you just used the word regarding the question I was about to ask. When you see other people with their parents or their children, you see love and you see compassion and you see everything that should be between a parent and their child. What do you guys feel about your parents? How would you describe what you feel about your parents?
I have a mama bear in me that will protect her children at all costs. In fact, with my previous abusive relationship, I would take anything from him, but when he threatened my child is when I told him he had to go. With my when I got this letter from my mom, it triggered a lot of childhood things. I was a victim of childhood sexual abuse by my father, and she didn't protect me. In fact, when I told her when I was 16, she literally turned her back on me and said, I don't want to hear it. So how I am as a mother is how I always would fantasize and yearn to be loved. I wish I had a mother that would be the mother that I am to my children. I understand what it's like to be a mother and to love your children with everything in you. And God, I wish I had that. I never have had that. And receiving this letter from her was just another confirmation of that. She's never going to be that person to me. And so on the one hand, that makes me very sad. My inner child is very sad about that. My inner child is never going to get the mother that she wanted. And I've had to learn to do that for myself. And finally, after 48 years, I said, no, you can't treat me like this. I am starting to protect myself and my inner child, just as I would my own child. And that really came out with this letter from my mom, the mother bear coming up and saying, no, you can't hurt me. You can't hurt that child. And you're no longer going to be allowed to treat me like that, with the same ferocity that I would have protected my own children. Did that answer your question, or did I go down a rabbit hole?
It hurts.
Yeah,
it's a painful truth.
I've
Cindy? Tracy?
No, I was saying I've experienced it with certain members of the family, but for the most part, my chosen family, they are, like I said, very much more right-leaning than I am. I mean, I'm center-right, but they are right. I've not experienced anything. They're always very protective of me, of we have a very mixed family. We have all races in our family. We have all sexualities in our family, all gender identity in our family. One of my nephews just came out as gender fluid. So it's a very mishmash. And I think for a lot of conservative people, stereotypical conservative people. Now, abuse is one thing. I totally agree with the way Tressa handled that. Abuse is a totally different thing. But I think just for that stubborn mindset that often people that have only seen one way, have one worldview, they don't actually process it, what people may be going through, until it happens to them. When it affects somebody in their family, that's when they start to open and start making changes in their worldview. And that's what happened to my family. As more people started to, as more of their children started to come out as gay or not what they considered normal, they realized, hey, these are just people and they deserve the same respect as everyone else.
But what do you feel for your biological mother?
I don't think of her at all. It's kind of like what Tressa was saying. I think I've just sort of canceled her out of my mind. Maybe hate if I really thought about it, but I don't think of her at all. I think it's better that way, because I would spiral into feelings that I don't want to have if I did just dwell on it. So, I mean, I've tried many times to mend the fences, and it always spirals back to this. So
Mhm.
I'm done. I'm done. I mean, my wife has encouraged me in the past to try to make it right, just so when she does pass away, I won't feel, you know, I won't feel any guilt or regret, just for my peace of mind. But every time I try, it ends up going the wrong way.
Mhm.
And so I've just learned, whatever.
Is it possible to go the other direction? I've caught myself thinking this, and more seriously than I should, because I say it as a joke, but my girls, I try very hard not to influence them, not to indoctrinate them, especially with religion, right? And we were stationed in San Diego. I was getting the lawnmower, putting some oil in the lawnmower out in the garage, and my oldest, she was maybe, I don't know, 8, 6, and just out of the blue, do you believe in God? And I was like, what do you do there? And I tried to be as very non-influential as possible. And she said, Daddy, I don't think there is a God. And it was almost Christmas time, and she still believed in Santa. I don't know how many people stopped believing in God before they stopped believing in Santa, but she's one of them. And now that they're grown adults now, and I from time to time I tell them, and they're like, all right, Dad, whatever. I'll say, you guys both grew up atheists, so I must have. My wife will tell me, you wrote 2 atheist books. You only talk to atheists. You go to atheist meetings. You do an atheist podcast. All this. So I mean, they're going to hear it. They're going to see it. Of course, I was an influence. I tried very hard not to be. That hurts. It hurts me deep. And I will say, and I constantly say to them, why couldn't one of you have just grown up a Mormon or a lesbian? I mean, it would take the pressure off me. Then I can go, see, I'm not influential. I'm not like you Christians.
I really wish that more, and I know it will never happen, but if more public schools or private schools or whatever would teach a comparative religion class, not teach as true, just teach a comparative religions class from an academic standpoint, I think children would be better equipped to make their own choices. I truly believe that. Let's look at the Abrahamic religions. Let's look at what being an agnostic or an atheist mean. Let's look what at Buddhism and Hinduism and Zoroastrianism and every other religion, Catholicism, Mormon. Let's look at it all. I would love to see that.
And also the links between the religions, because it's like a tree basically. All religions today, they descend from 3, 4, 5 different religions back then, and it's like a genealogy tree. And I think we need to show that more than the content of the religions.
I got into studying religion because I was a huge mythology nerd in high school. That's what set me on my path to atheism. I was just a geek for Greek and Greek mythology and Roman mythology, which is ripped off from the Greeks, and then Norse mythology, and then I got into all this other stuff, and I started seeing that the Bible was just a book of myths. It was Middle Eastern mythology, based, that was very much like the Norse and the Greek and the Romans. It was their explanations for what caused the earth. And I realized, oh, this is all mythology. That's cool. And so I got into studying other religions as a result.
Muse Arena, let me put this one up. It's not exactly what they're trying to say, but it did make me think what Tracy was talking about. Yes, that sounds really good, comparative religion on paper. But can you imagine where Tressa and I live in deep red Texas? Can you imagine? Okay, here, random teacher X, a history teacher, teach this. Imagine the opportunities for bias in teaching comparative religion to high schoolers or lower.
Absolutely. It's a pipe dream. I wish it could be a reality, but I'm all for teaching the stats. Talk about the Crusades. I don't want to get into a debate or anything, but if you actually study the Crusades, which I have, Islam calls some of them, Christians call some of them, and there was equal killing on both sides. If it had not been for Vlad the Impaler, the Europe might have been Islamic today. So teach that. Teach about the people that are thrown off roofs in, Saudi Arabia for being gay. Teach about, white supremacists mowing down people of different colors because they don't fit their model of what Christian should be. Teach about all the genocides and everything that happened in Africa from pagan religions and, Native Americans. They had their own swath of genocides. The Mayans and the Incas and the Aztecs were not very kind to their neighbors. Even the Comanche Indians, the Comanche Native Americans, they had a policy of wiping out the smaller tribes around them. Every single culture, religion has its bad spots, has its bad parts in history. We're human. The whole world is stolen land. Somebody has stolen it from somebody at some point in history. All we can do is move forward. And I absolutely believe that the body count should be part of that, an unbiased of what, religion has caused a lot of undue bloodshed. Absolutely. But finding somebody to teach it unbiasedly is the problem.
Right, exactly. We are nearing that time, folks. I'm going to go around the horn, just some final thoughts, and do what we did at the top of the show. Just tell everybody where they can find you and what current projects you're working on, that type of thing, and any final thoughts. We'll start with Cindy.
Well, I promised I would tell the story about what happened when I was a child. So
okay, let's do it.
I could do that. Just so I tried to make it as quick as possible. I made an episode about this on my channel, so if you want the full story, you can watch it there. But basically, my mother was an explosive person, meaning that anything could trigger her, and then she would get super angry from in 1 second. And since I was the oldest child, then I was the shield for the younger brothers. I took all the hits and all the punishment. I was a very good kid. I was very shy. I was very polite to everyone. My mother was very proud to say that when we went to restaurants, people complimented her about my behavior. So I never missed any day at school. I never had any violence problem at school either. So I was a problemless child, and yet the amount of punishment I received. One time, and that's the biggest thing she did to me. She sent me into the bathroom and turned the water on and put it into my face. And when I tried to move just to breathe, she blocked my face and kept the water on my face. And I really don't know what I did to trigger that. What I know is that I never did anything to deserve it. And so all this violence, it triggers a lot of things when you grow up. And when I joined the army, I tried to push it away. But if you don't address it, it stays. And now I'm over 40 and I have to deal with it now because I didn't do it then. So my advice is, if you experience something like that, try to find help as soon as possible, because it will ruin your life just like it did mine.
And if you guys are not subscribed to Cindy Plaza at The Path to Reason, is that the name of it? Yeah, The Path to Reason. Go subscribe to that immediately after the show. Tracy.
My final thoughts is be yourself. Don't put yourself into a dangerous situation. I felt I would have been in a dangerous situation had I come out any earlier than I did. So, but if you're young and you're trapped in a situation, just times change. Just bear it until you can get out, and then be yourself and cut the toxic people out of your life. Mm-hmm. Choose your own family. Choose your own tribe. There's plenty of people out there that will love and accept you and are like you.
And you all can find Tracy Barkley at Keto and Crime, crime with a K. And we just did a collaboration, our top 25 favorite horror movies for Halloween, and I really enjoyed that. Go and watch that, and a great series on the laundry, Brian Laundrie, was a cold case, and now looks like it's a
Gabby
done.
Petito case. Yeah, if you love true crime history, come on over.
And Tressa.
Final thoughts. Something that I discovered, and when I got into the anger after my mother's letter, was becoming the very thing or the very person that I was angry at. I became angry at her, and by default angry at my brother. I judged him before I even talked to him, and because I assume he's a right-wing fundamentalist person, that he had the same thoughts and ideas as my mother, and judged him just as harshly as my mother judged me. And so I kind of had to do a 180 there and say, wait a second, and reached out with love, with curiosity, with an open mind and an open heart, and gave him a chance to tell me what he thought. And it turned out for the best, or turned out for good. The future will tell, but yeah, that was a hard thing for me to see, that I was became the thing that I was angry at. I became that person too. So I guess that's it.
Thank you all for coming on. This was, I knew it was going to be, some of it was going to be tough to listen to. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to everything. I think I learned a few things too. This was really great. Thank you all so much. My next live show will be November 11th, a Veterans Day special. I guess 3rd annual. We do it every year now. And then Faith, I'll be on In Time November 12th with Nicholas Suter. In Time, I'll be on his show, and then Faithless Forum later in the month. I'm going to be down in Austin. If you see me, I will have a lot of little merch to pass out and some chances maybe to get on camera. And I've got little ideas for quick little clips. What else? Oh, another thing with Cindy. She was part of a huge collaboration that we did a few months ago, just wrapped up. 666 things your religious leaders never taught you. I'd like to just kind of shout that out again. If you go to the Atheist Edge main YouTube, go to the playlist, and you'll see it's 89 episodes long. So I think it's thoroughly worth it. 46 collaborators. Cindy had a spectacular contributions sprinkled throughout there. I enjoyed doing that as well. That will do it, guys. And I'll see you on November 11th. Take care.
Bye.
See you. Bye.